Hello everybody, what is going on? I'm L Director, this is L Director Vision, and you are watching Indie Rebel, Hollywood effects without a Hollywood budget. Today what I want to do is I want to do something pretty cool. We're going to do something called a super planet. We're going to create like a cool sci-fi sky with a planet off in the background. I'm going to show you how to add clouds to a shot that otherwise doesn't have any. And all this utilizes a technique called a sky replacement. And we're going to be doing this in Blackmagic Design Fusion Studio 17. This is the beta 4 release. This is brand new, just came out a couple days ago, and it seems to be working really well. Now, I will not be doing anything today that you couldn't also do inside the Fusion page of DaVinci Resolve. I just find that the performance is a lot better in the standalone version of the app, and I can use it with my dongle now anyway that I have for Resolve, so I'm just going to be using standalone, mostly for performance, but I'm not going to be using anything that Resolve doesn't have in the Fusion tab. We're not going to be using Primat, we're going to use some other keyers and that kind of a thing. So let's take a look at what we have here. This is my wife standing out in the middle of a park, and we're going to do a sky replacement. This is a very boring looking sky. There's nothing alien or sci-fi about it. So we're going to put a big jumbo planet up here, and then also I'm going to add in some wispy clouds and that kind of a thing. So what kind of challenges do we have? Let's go back to the first frame and zoom in. Well, my wife was having a day with the wind in her hair, and so it's we got a lot of this fine detail here. We've got single strands here. We also have a lot of detail in this tree, right? Because it's winter time right now, and so all the leaves are gone. This tree right here will be a little bit of a nightmare. These trees as well. I mean, look at this. This is very, very faint, and I'm going to lose all that detail when I try to key it, and I'll show you what I mean. And just so you know, too, we actually shot this with my iPhone 11 Pro using the Filmic Pro app. We were on our lunch break. We had lunch at the same time, and I was inspired to shoot this for this exact tutorial. I didn't have my cinema camera with me, so I used the iPhone, and hey, it worked out pretty good and looks pretty good. A little over sharp for my taste, but not bad. I can work with it. So what's our first step here? How are we going to do this? Well, if you came from After Effects and you're just now getting used to learning Fusion, you're probably going to do this. You're going to come in and try to add a keyer of some sort. So you're going to see what our keying options are, and you're going to say, oh, Delta keyer, that looks good. Yeah, we'll try that. And let's go ahead and zoom in here a little bit more and take a look at this. If I view my keyer, to view, I'm just pressing 1 on the keyboard, and you can see this first dot lights up. And that lets me view the effect. And we have over here something called background color. And what I want to do is now click and drag on the eyedropper. And I'm going to kind of move this around and try to pick a color that gets me a good portion of the frame. I don't want to go white because I don't want to lose the highlights. You can see I got this blue highlight up here in her jacket. So I want to keep that a little bit. Maybe we'll try that and try to choke the matte down and see where that gets us. So I'm going to try to do that. And then I would come over here to my matte controls, right? I'm going to start trying to play with my thresholds. I'm going to pull that down to the mountains. I'm going to try to pull back all the detail on her, but then I'm starting to get these halo effects again. And you can bounce this all back and forth, back and forth. But the truth of the matter is you're never going to get this looking perfect. So let me drag in some clouds, and I'll show you why. So here's our wispy clouds. We're going to merge the shot on top of the clouds, right? Because that's what you're thinking. Coming from After Effects, you're like, oh, I need to put the sky in the background. This is a sky replacement. And you view it, and it looks like rubbish. I've lost detail here in the trees. I've lost all this detail here in her hair. If I do a bypass on this, Control P lets you bypass. I mean, look how horrible that is. Look at the tree. The tree just completely vanishes now. And yet there are tutorials out there that will teach you that this is how you do a sky replacement. No, that's not Hollywood level or anything close to it. So how are we going to do it? Well, let's go ahead and delete the merge for now. We'll come back to that later. We're actually going to do something different. We're going to put the clouds on top of our final image. So I'm going to get rid of the delta keyer. I'm going to bring in the clouds, just like that, on top. And if I view that merge node, you can see the clouds are now on top of the image. Well, okay, that's great, but now I can't see my image. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over to the apply mode of the merge node. You can see we've got the merge selected, so we come over to apply. We're just going to change this to screen. And what that does is that will now kind of layer the clouds on top. You can play with some of the other blend modes too. You could try like overlay if you want, and maybe that's the look you're going for, a more intense looking sky. But for our purposes today, we're going to use the screen mode. And yeah, that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and add a transform node here. We have a button for it that will add it in. And I just want to scale up the size of the clouds a little bit more and kind of position them where I want. Now, if I look at my edges, those edges are looking really good, except that I've got clouds over the top of everything. So how do I cut the girl out now? So how are we going to do it? Well, let's go back to the girl, and I'm going to actually add a color corrector after that. I'm going to view my color corrector, and I'm going to juice the saturation. I'm going to jack that sucker all the way up. And I'm going to come down here and start tweaking down the gamma. Maybe, I don't know, 0.3, somewhere around here. That looks pretty good. I'm going to tweak the contrast just a little bit, maybe somewhere up here. And we can also pull the gain down just ever so slightly too, just to kind of darken that up a little bit. Maybe something like that. Now, I'm going to add the delta key here. And come back in, and you can see I've got a much more solid shade of blue to work with, so I'm going to come up into here. I'm going to pull my key. Let's take a look at that. Okay, that's looking good. We'll go over to the matte. And let's go ahead and also view our matte so we can see really what we're doing. And I'm just going to start choking this down a little bit. Trying to get rid of all that wispy white. And then we'll pull it back just a smidge to bring back detail. That's looking pretty nice, actually. That's looking really good. All right, and now we can also add another color corrector. So let's go ahead and just drop in another one of these. And if we go ahead and view it here, I'm going to pull all the saturation out, which is good. We know that's good. Let's go ahead and drop the gain a little bit. Drop the lift. I'm going to go back to my delta key here. I should probably flip this back to final result. There we go. Now I can drop these down a bit more. There we go. And look how that just takes all those highlights. Boom, they're gone. Okay, I'm going to play with the lift, try to keep that as good as possible. Make sure I've got basically a black matte. Something about like that. And we'll tweak the gamma down just slightly too. All right, now we've got a really good looking matte here, right? So let's go ahead and I'm going to move this one up. And let's merge this back in. This is our background. So we select that. And if I view my merge, and so now you can see with this result, we're back to where we were, but I've got this alpha channel that I made down here. And what we're going to do now is use this alpha channel that we've got, this new thing, to drive the effect mask of the merge. You can see this little blue triangle is your effect mask. And if I take this and drag it down to here, and I go back and I view my merge, darn, it didn't work. What did we do wrong? Well, we need to invert the mask actually. So what I'm going to do is add something called a channel booleans node. And if you guys come from Nuke or Natron, you already know what a shuffle node is. This is basically Fusion's version of the shuffle node. Make sure you do booleans with an S. We'll add it in. And what we can do is move things around. I could literally take my red channel and make that the alpha channel. I can make the alpha channel apply to the red or any other combination of things. Or I can come up here and flip my alpha channel around. So instead of using like an invert node somewhere along the pipeline, I'm going to flip this to negative. And now suddenly look at what we've done. If I take my transform node on the clouds, I can move these around so you can see the clouds are now behind the image. Even though we merged them on top, they're still behind. And that's because we're using this mask setup down here. And check out all the detail on the hair. I mean, like, seriously, this is just like stupid crazy. If I tweak this on and off, you can see that detail is still there. Now we got a little bit of a coloring issue going on, and that's due to the fact that I'm adding these white clouds on top of things, but I'm still driving it all with this delta key mask. Look at the tree. Look how much better this looks than what we had before. Look at the trees down here. We even still have the top of the tree in the shot a little bit. It's not perfect. It's a little bit wider, but we don't have that halo, and that's what makes this technique extremely powerful and extremely cool. Now, if we did want to try one of these other methods, like we want to try overlay, okay, we could do that. Maybe that's the look I like better for the sky, and actually I kind of do, because look what it does to my edges. It makes those edges just look stinking fantastic. So we'll do overlay in this case. And that's the fun with visual effects. You can experiment. You could try difference if you wanted. That gives you a real alien looking sky, but now you're back to your halos again. You want to try to keep it as natural as possible, because what we're seeing now is the result of that key. And so we're going to flip it back, and I think overlay is the way to go in this case. That's looking really, really good. Cool. So now we need to do one other thing here. We need to track the sky into the shot. So I'm going to move this down here a ways, just like that. And we'll take this whole setup, and actually I'm going to stick it way down here. How are we going to track the sky into the shot? Well, we need something that we can see at both the beginning and at the end. And I'm going to use this corner right here of the batting cages. Those are batting cages. And I can see the corner here, and I can see the corner here. So let's add a tracker. And this is basically just like you would do in After Effects. I'm going to pull this up to the background. Let's go ahead and view the tracker here. And you know what? This is really, really faint and a little bit washed out. So I think I'm going to also add a color corrector in here as well. And if I hold Shift, I drag it over that pipe, you can see that the pipe turns blue. I let go, and it gets inserted into the line. Let's go back to the batting cage corner, and I'm going to screw with some of this, maybe the gamma. Yeah, that gets me a nice, strong, contrasty edge. I'll play with the contrast a little bit more. Perfect. I like that. Go back to the tracker, and here it is. We're going to bring it down all the way to that batting cage corner. And then we also want to shrink it down too. Very, very tiny, so it's only going to be tracking that aspect of it. Zoom back out, and I'm at the last frame, so I will go ahead and track this all the way to the beginning. And you can see how fast it tracked it, and that looks really good. It's still right where I left it. I think we are good to go. I'm going to go over here to Operation, and I'm going to make this a match move. We will drop down the match move settings. And we're going to probably set it all up here at the end frame. So I'm going to change that to end, just like that. Now, all I have to do is, I'm going to delete my color corrector. Don't need that anymore. I'm going to take my clouds. I'm going to drag them into this input of the tracker. And then I'm going to drag this input of the merge to the output of the tracker. And let's see what we've got. Very nice. That's all motion tracked into place. That's looking really good. But we have a few problems. Let's go and view the final shot. I'll play this out again. And as you can see, our biggest problem right now is that we've just got some edges showing here. Our clouds didn't quite cover the entire frame. So when we're here at the beginning, we're going to take our transform node that we've got on these clouds, zoom in, pan off to the side, and I just want to increase the scale. And that fills it up. Let's go to the end frame. Yep, still looks good down there. So now we know that our clouds are all set. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I'm going to move this over to here, move my tracker up to here, and the merge on out. And then I'm going to add something called an underlay. Not underlay, underlay. Shift space, type in underlay. And there we go. I'm going to drag this down a little bit, make it a little bit larger. And this just is kind of allowing me to group this set of nodes together. We know these are the clouds, so I'm going to make it kind of a blue. And that way that stands out for me. I'm also going to take my mask down here. We're going to add another underlay to that. Zoom back in, make the mask, or make the underlay bigger. Drag our nodes down so they're centered in it quite nice. And let's make our mask, we'll go lime green with it, since it's kind of implying a green screen in the way. All right, so let's go ahead and add in our super planet. Here is the planet that we are going to be working with. It's this nice view of Jupiter. We got all this nice black around it, and we got this nice faded off ring down here at the bottom too. Now, if I try to just screen this on top of my image, let's go ahead and add our merge nodes that we need to work with. Add the merge, and I drag it in line like that. And I'm going to run this up to my planet. We're going to do the same kind of effect, only with this all being black, we actually need to screen it on top rather than overlay. We'll see that if I go over to my apply mode, overlay doesn't quite work. However, screen gets rid of all that black quite nicely. That's actually looking really good. And then I think we will add a color corrector to it. Okay, again, I'll keep this going sideways. There's our color corrector. We're going to add some saturation to the planet, make that stand out nice. We can use the same mask as before to drive the new merge node. And voila, that actually looks really quite well. Let's add a transform so we can put it into place a little bit better. And maybe we'll drag that over to here. And we'll scale it up. Truly make that thing a super planet. Nice, just like that. So you can see how easy it is. Once we've done the hard work of creating this mask down here, we can really do anything we want with it. We can use it to cut out and overlay all these things into the image and really get something that looks quite good. Now, let's see how it looks with the clouds. I want the clouds on top to make it look like the planet is way back in the back of the atmosphere. And that's looking quite nice. Now, one other thing we're going to need to do, just like before, is we need to apply a tracker. And the cool thing is I can come in here to my first tracker, and I can copy it, and then I can paste it. And just like before, I'm going to run this into the background on that. And then I'm going to run this into the output of that transform. And then I'm going to run the tracker into the merge. And everything, well, it was looking good. What on earth happened here? All right, and let me show you the guys the easiest way I know how to fix this. So what we're going to do is we're going to just move this up, put that one up, that's all fine. And I'm going to add in a backdrop, or not a backdrop, a background node. So we'll just add the background. Okay, let's drag this on top of that. Get rid of this pipe from there and hook it into here. Now we're back to where we were. We got that nice rich blue sky, but just like before, we're going to have those same issues. Maybe at the beginning and end. Nope, we lucked out. We're okay. Awesome. Let's just go and do a little bit of housekeeping here. I'm going to line this up down over to here. Push this one over. I like making sure that I can keep track of everything I'm doing and make sure that everything is all lined up nice and neat. One of my biggest complaints about Fusion has always been its node graph and the way it's laid out. They've made some serious improvements though with these latest incarnations of it. We'll go and add another underlay node, and we'll call this the super planet. And just for fun, we'll make the super planet one orange. Now I can look at this and easily see what I'm doing. So that's really all there is to this, guys. I mean, it's not difficult. It's actually very, very simple. The clouds, as we know, are in front of the planet, so I could, if I wanted to, still move these clouds around a little bit and really try to position it exactly where I want. I could even take these clouds. Let's do this. This is an idea I just now had. This will be fun. I think you guys will like it. I'm going to start that frame right there with the clouds, and I'm going to right-click on center and click animate. I'm going to bounce to the end of the shot, and we'll move the clouds through the frame just a little bit like that. If I go into settings, I can turn on motion blur. In fact, we're going to want to do that for everything. Go to your tracker, go to settings, turn on motion blur. Do the same thing over here, tracker, settings, motion blur. And now, let's take a look at what we got. I'm going to go ahead and enlarge this down a little bit. Let's go ahead and fill the frame up here and buffer it up. All right, and that is actually looking really, really good. You can see that's all tracked in nice and neat. Got some nice little motion going on with the clouds as well. I don't know if they're blowing the right way or not. But most importantly, look at all this detail. The detail and everything is just looking absolutely phenomenal. We'll go ahead and do a final render here at the end so you guys can see really how this all looks and how clean everything is. At this point, one thing I might want to do is try to clean up some of my edges here from my mats and my keying. So I'm just going to move this up a little bit, pan that down, and I'm going to go back into my delta keyer, and I can come in and like blur things a little bit. Maybe I want to add a blur of, I don't know, 0.5. Oh, too much blur. Let's do a blur, yeah, the way this blur works, 0.1. Nope, still too much, wow. I want just a hint of a smidge of a blur. .001. There we go. That's got the nice clean edge going on with that now. And everything else is still looking really good there too. So .001 was the magic number. Still makes it look like a blur of 0, but hey, it works for us. One of the really fun things too about this effect is it really does allow you to put anything up in the sky. And when I say anything, believe me, I really do mean anything. Well, happy end of 2020, everybody. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you appreciate this technique and like all the fine detail you're getting here in the hair and stuff like that, and in your trees as well, give this video a like, go and hit the subscribe button, and leave me a comment down below. Let me know what kind of tutorials you would like to see next. I plan on doing a lot more filmmaking tutorials. I've got a whole list of stuff I need to now redo inside of Fusion that I had done in Natron before. And I think Fusion, the more I'm playing with it, the more I'm starting to like it. It's getting a lot of development, and the best part is that it's affordable, and it fits within my mindset of Hollywood effects without a Hollywood budget. So thanks for watching. I'm L Director. This is L Director Vision, and you've been watching Indie Rebel. We'll see you next time.